These videos forced Congress to confront a hard truth about ICE. Families, veterans, and even U.S. citizens are being caught up.
Gentleman from California, Mr. Correa, for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I agree with my colleague from Texas. It is a tale of two cities. Secretary Noem, Trump administration, you're going after the worst of the worst criminals, and we agree with you. The problem is 70% of the people you've arrested have no criminal record. You're going after non-criminal immigrants, U.S. citizens, and permanent legal residents. Donna Hughes Brown, Irish citizen, green card holder, 48 years in the United States. She also happens to be the mother of a U.S. Marine, sister to a retired Army colonel. She's in ICE detention since July. She tried to come back from Ireland, arrested, has been there since then. Her crime? She wrote 2 bad checks for less than $80 a decade ago. You arrested her, she's in custody. Her husband, Jim Brown, came to us and told us her story. Jim told us, I voted for President Trump because he promised to go after criminals in our community and not people like my wife. If I can, I'd like to play a video for you. Then he also voted for President Trump.
Yes, sir.
Why did you vote for him?
Because I was an idiot. 80% of the evangelical Christian people were lied to, if you really want to know the truth, and that's exactly what happened. They said criminal, and I believe criminals need to be off the street.
I just want to make sure people watching this understand who you are.
My wife and I, when we don't work, we're ministers. We help the needy. That's what we do. And that's who they're arresting.
Now, we've got Mr. Jim Brown before you. He's standing up. Hopefully you can talk to him a little bit. These people, Donna Hughes Brown, are not the individuals that should be deported. Another case, Narciso Barranco was beaten and arrested by masked agents while working as a landscaper. He's an undocumented immigrant, 30 years in this country, not a traffic ticket. Mr. Barranco is also the father of 3 U.S. Marines. 3 Marines. You want to make a movie of people like this. A man who comes to this country, instills patriotism in his kids. They swear an oath to serve and possibly give up their life for this country. We play a video on this as well, please.
Masked federal agents were filmed pinning a man to the ground and repeatedly striking him in the head and neck before putting him in an unmarked car. The man in the video has been identified as Narciso Barranco and is the father of 2 active duty Marines and 1 Marine veteran. The Department of Homeland Security said an illegal alien was arrested by Border Patrol agents after he, quote, assaulted federal law enforcement, adding that Barranco, quote, swung a weed whacker directly at an agent's face. Video shared by DHS and reviewed by CNN shows Barranco running with a weed whacker, but does not show him striking officers.
I also have with us today Alex Barranco behind you, a retired Marine. That's his father. And Alex, on behalf of myself, members here, I want to thank you for your service to our country, and we also thank your brothers for serving our great country. Thank you very much. Got another case. George Rete, 25-year-old, native of California, my home state. He's a U.S. citizen, Army veteran who served in Iraq. Well, on his way to work, he came to an immigration checkpoint. Pulled over. I don't know where officers deployed tear gas on him, broke his car window, pepper sprayed him, and dragged him out of his car. An American citizen held for 72 hours without any charges, wasn't even given the opportunity to shower, to wash off that paper spray.
Gentleman's time's expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Mississippi, Mr. Guest.
Mr. Chairman, I have 2 articles I'd like to present for the record.
Unanimous consent.
Under President Trump, an agency intended to keep Americans safe has diverted resources from child abuse, trafficking, and terrorism to immigration enforcement. Second is this letter from my Orange County Sheriff, Don Barnes, essentially talking about all the individuals under Prop 50 referred to ICE 2025 year to date. 50 of them.
Without objection.
ICE never showed up to pick them up.
Without
Mr.
objection.
Chairman?
I will
Mr. Chairman?
entertain,
Chairman?
I will entertain UCs at the end of the hearing. I want to entertain all UC motions at the end of the hearing. We have witnesses. I want to make sure everybody has time. So if we do this now, we do have a witness has to leave. You're just going to be taking time from other members, but I will entertain UC motions.
What you just watched wasn't just a heated exchange in Congress. It was a moment of accountability that exposed a gap between what the public is told about immigration enforcement and what is actually happening on the ground. For years, Americans have been told that ICE is focused on the worst of the worst, violent criminals, serious threats. That framing is used to justify aggressive tactics, massive budgets, and expanded authority. But Congressman Lou Correa brought receipts that challenged that narrative in a very real, very human way. He didn't just argue policy, he showed faces. A green card holder who lived in this country for nearly half a century. A mother of a U.S. Marine, detained not for violence, not for drugs, not for gang activity, but for 2 bad checks totaling less than $80 from over a decade ago. That's not a public safety threat. That's a family being torn apart over a minor, long-resolved mistake. Then there's the landscaper, Narciso Barranco, 30 years in the United States, no criminal record, father of 3 U.S. Marines, the very definition of someone whose family has sacrificed for this country. And yet he's beaten by masked agents while working based on claims that even video evidence doesn't fully support. That matters because in a democracy, force without accountability erodes trust in every institution. And maybe most alarming of all is the case of George Rhee, a U.S. citizen and Iraq war veteran, detained, pepper sprayed, held for 72 hours without charges. That's not an immigration issue anymore. That's a due process issue. When enforcement becomes so broad and aggressive that citizens can be swept up without consequence, it stops being about border security and starts being about unchecked power. This is why congressional oversight exists, not to score political points, but to ask a simple question: who is being protected and at what cost? Public safety doesn't mean abandoning proportionality, humanity, or the Constitution. And enforcing the law does not require humiliating families, traumatizing veterans, or ignoring basic rights. If you care about real accountability, real safety, and policies that reflect American values instead of fear-driven narratives, this is a conversation worth paying attention to. Let me know what you think in the comments. Should ICE be held to a higher standard when it comes to due process and use of force? And if you want clear, fact-based insight into what Congress is actually doing and why it matters, follow Capital Lens.